Alright super buddies, this is a documentation video of my recent project, Finance. It is a personal finance management model developed using the Python programming language. So, as a student studying interstate, many a times I faced trouble managing my expenses, sometimes overspending, leading to debt, and that became the main motivation behind this project, to regulate my spending habits. The first part of the video will include highlighting what all the Python module do, just in brief and very short. And the second part is the GUI, graphical user interface, or the main interface of finance. If you want, you can skip to that part. The time frame will be given below. And let's see how it works. In order to keep things clean and simple, I made modules for every function. This helps us to keep things neat and expand later when we want. Okay, the first module, that is storing.py. This module take input from the user, such as amount spent and the description of or on what item did you spend. And this function will help take the input and store it in the expenses.csv. Now the next module, analysis.py. Those two are the same, I just made a copy for backup purpose. This module will give a total of your monthly expenditure or your monthly summary. Now we have to train a model to categorize the items being purchased. So we train the model with our custom built dataset, which is in the CSV file, as you can see. Now since this is a supervised learning, so the input should be paired with output. These are the input and these are the desired output, descriptions and categories, keys and values, just like a dictionary. Using this dataset, we train our model, and the trained model is saved as expensesclassifier.pkl, which is a pickle file. It took only 15 seconds to train. Since the dataset is not too huge, I use logistic regression to categorize the items. Now after training, I tested the model, like giving a description, and it perfectly predicted the category. The evaluation Python model is same as the test model. The only difference is that here I give input in the code, whereas in the test module it takes input from the user. Now words can be verbose, so in order to give better representation of the monthly expenditure, I implemented a graph, a radial graph or a polar bar chart. There are still few Python modules left. I will explain that in the video ahead. So all these modules are integrated with the main module. Now let me run the main and demonstrate what is this all about. Now that after we run the main module, we get introduced to our finance menu. In the number one, we have add expenses, monthly summary and exit. So suppose if we want to add expenses, such as we have to enter our date. Maybe let's try to enter today's date, such as 8th of April 2025. After which we are asked to enter the amount. Suppose how about 20 for what? Maybe tea at auntie shop. Tea at auntie shop, it predicted the category as food. Now all these entries, it is saved successfully in this CSV file, as you can see, tea at auntie shop, and it categorized at food. Now we might want to check our monthly summary, so we choose option 2 and we enter the month and the year. Let me just put the month as the 3rd because I have more entries recorded on this month, that is the March. Now as you can see, expenses summary like 3rd March, expenses summary for March 2025, total spend 600 something, and the category breakdown is like entertainment, electronics, food, something like that. Now here's the catch. Remember when I said I will explain the rest of the modules later? This is the part where it comes into play. Suppose you might not need advice but your wallet is screaming for help. So number one, once we hit find ROSME, the model will take its time because I'm running this model locally. I pulled the phi model from Ollama, so it's gonna take some time to generate the advice, and trust me, you're gonna love this. Just wait for the result. Now we have our finance advice. One part will be sarcastic and the other part will be practical in each category. We can just generate our graph, N for no and Y for yes. After we hit yes, it will generate our radial graph. Alright super buddies, that was it for the first part of the video. We'll move on to the second part, that is the GUI. Alright, now the interface for finance is on the screen. Suppose we can do the same thing like we did in the main, but this one with an interface. Suppose we add expenses, maybe like 40 rupees, and description, suppose taxi fare. Okay, it automatically fetches today's date and we submit. After that, the expenses are added successfully. Since we put taxi fare, it predicted to transport category. And now how about a monthly summary? We'll do the same. Maybe let's try to get the monthly summary for April. Get summary. Here we have our summary for the month of April. Total spend 270 and entertainment 40, total breakdown. And now we have here to visualize our spending in a more interactive way. I can just click here and finance will generate a graph for the spendings. And next we have finance advice. Once I click here, finance will give you two options, basically a yes and a no option. Fine roast me or I enjoy being broke. On clicking the second option, which is a no, it does not provide any advice, but still generates a sarcastic message instead of leaving it blank. And the fun part, which makes my project finance stand out from other financial apps or website, is my financial advice. When I choose the option fine roast me, finance generates advice on each category breakdown. One sarcastic followed by practical advice. One sarcastic, one practical. In each category, education, entertainment, food, and etc. Alright super buddies, that concludes our video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you also want to minimize your spending habits, then like this video.